Additional charges have been filed against a Scottsbluff sex offender accused of inappropriately touching a young child. KNEB.TV News starts right now.
From your trusted source for news in western Nebraska and eastern Wyoming, this is KNEB.TV News. Presented by Platte Valley Companies, premier provider of financial services.
Hello, I'm Ryan Murphy. This is KNEB.TV News, powered by Platte Valley Companies. Thanks for joining me. In our top story, additional charges have been filed against a Scottsbluff sex offender who was caught with child porn late last year. In November, a capstone interview was conducted on a 16-year-old who had reported that 49-year-old Jason Vorse had been providing them with drugs and alcohol and then fondling them. Vorse had initially been charged with contributing to the delinquency of a minor and third-degree sexual assault. However, as the case progressed through the court system, Vorse is now facing charges of forcible first-degree sexual assault and an additional charge of sexual assault in the first degree. He was arraigned on the Class 2 felony charges last week in Judge Miller's chambers, and the case is set for the jury term that begins March 3rd. Well, a Gering police investigation into a string of storage unit burglaries the past several months that led to the arrest of two men continues, with authorities asking for the public's assistance. Captain Jason Rogers says a significant amount of property believed to have been stolen has been recovered, but the owners have not reported the crimes to law enforcement. Rogers says investigators believe some of the recovered items could have been taken from homes, shops, garages, or even vehicles. A common theme in the storage unit crimes was that the use of a portable metal grinder was used to cut off locks securing those doors. Rogers says they have a list of items recovered, and anybody who believes they were a victim but hasn't reported it to their office to contact them at 436-5089. And troopers with the Nebraska State Patrol arrested 95 impaired drivers during the end of the year Drive Sober or Get Pulled Over campaign that ran from December 11th through New Year's Day. In addition to those arrested during the campaign, troopers also issued more than 1,600 citations for speeding, which included 83 for going over 100 miles per hour. There was also 115 tickets for driving under suspension and 67 for open alcohol containers. Following the campaign, NSP Superintendent Colonel John Bolduc said, as we continue through the winter, law enforcement is urging all drivers to be prepared for inclement weather and follow traffic safety laws to help keep Nebraska roadways safe. This effort was made possible thanks in part to grant funding from the Nebraska Department of Transportation Highway Safety Office. We'll have more news right after this.
Looking for free instead of fees? Platte Valley Bank can help you keep your finances moving forward with no ATM fees. Whether you're headed to the lake, the mountains, or just to the grocery store, you can enjoy the freedom of free ATM access anywhere, anytime. Platte Valley Bank. You belong here.
When it comes to your health, you deserve the very best. At Morrill County Community Hospital, they provide top-notch care with compassion and expertise. From routine checkups to advanced surgeries, their dedicated team is here for you 24/7. With state-of-the-art technology and a patient-first approach, they ensure you and your loved ones receive the highest quality care. Because at Morrill County Community Hospital, your health is their priority. Visit Morrill County Community Hospital today in Bridgeport. Morrill County Community Hospital. Exceptional care right here at home.
Welcome back. After a relatively mild winter, cold weather and snow is beginning to make its presence known now that the calendar has turned to 2025. On Thursday, Scottsbluff police responded to numerous accident calls, with some being attributed to the slick conditions following a light layer of snow. Interim Co-Chief of Police Lance Kite says taking extra time to get to your destination when driving conditions aren't ideal can go a long way to avoid getting yourself involved in a fender bender.
A good reminder is always to be mindful of the slick streets, especially this time of year where it tends to melt and freeze overnight. That always causes a lot of problems. I would also encourage people to be very cautious going over bridges when we have a snow and a melt. The bridges in the area tend to get very slick.
Kite says that by going slow and always using your seatbelt, you can do your part to prevent becoming another traffic statistic. Well, members from Nebraska's congressional delegation are voicing their condolences following a deadly New Year's morning terror attack in New Orleans. Early Wednesday morning, a Texas man drove a pickup down Bourbon Street at a high rate of speed, hitting pedestrians until crashing and engaging police in a shootout that ended up killing the driver. U.S. Senator Pete Ricketts said the attack was evil and horrific, and he continues to pray for the families and loved ones of those killed and injured. District 3 Congressman Adrian Smith commended the heroic officers who reported swiftly to the scene and neutralized the threat. Both demanded a full investigation, and Smith added that Americans cannot be intimidated by terror, and those who commit evil acts will always face justice.
Fly United Airlines, operated by SkyWest with Western Nebraska Regional Airport. United is dedicated to going the extra mile for you with daily flights to and from Denver, along with a commitment to excellent service. Reserve your flight today, and remember, United miles can be earned and redeemed with your flights. While at the airport, stop and enjoy authentic Italian food at Roma Italian Restaurant. Plus, Hertz Thrifty Car Rental is there for your car rental needs. Make life easier, relax, and get on board with Western Nebraska Regional Airport.
Welcome to Kelly's Liquor, your liquor cabinet. Whether you're a wine enthusiast, a whiskey sommelier, a tequila connoisseur, or you just love your beer, Kelly's has the best selection of what you're looking for. Family owned and operated since 1946 and right on 27th Street in Scottsbluff. Come see us today at Kelly's Liquor, your liquor cabinet. And remember to be a good neighbor. Don't drink and drive. Kelly's Liquor, West 27th Street in Scottsbluff.
I imagined retirement in a place where we could enjoy our golden years, where adventure and friendship are the only items on the schedule. The Garden Homes at Northfield gives us the luxury we planned for and peace of mind when it comes to convenience, safety, and comfort. We never have to stop and think about the day-to-day upkeep. We love to explore abroad, but most importantly in our backyard. So much to do, so much to see. Here at Northfield, we get the protection of life care, incredible tax benefits, and secured rates for aging services. It's peaceful, knowing that if our needs change, we'll be taken care of. And most importantly, that our kids will never have to make any tough decisions. There never seemed to be enough time to do all the things we wanted. Now we get to focus our energy on enjoying what this community has to offer. At the Garden Homes, life is ours again. A place we had dreamed about. A chance to focus on us.
This is KNEB.TV Ag News from the Scottsbluff Body and Paint Ag Desk. Scottsbluff Body and Paint, you're driving home our reputation.
Welcome to another edition of Cattle Call and Happy New Year. We're recording this here on New Year's Eve and excited to see what the next year is going to bring for this cattle market. By the way, Cattle Call is being brought to you by Wolf Auto, small town strong. As you can see, Scott Barlick's joining us today with KKV Trading out of Sioux Center, Iowa. Brad's got the week off, so we get to get a different thought and opinion as to what's happening within this cattle complex. And Scott, I'm excited to kind of get your takeaway as we look at this last couple weeks of 2024 and we head into the new year. And you made an interesting statement before we started about January is kind of not the favorite month to do any cattle selling. So I kind of wanted to start there. What is your takeaway as to why January is so tough on us?
Yeah, and thanks for having me. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and God is good. And it's been a great year for the cattle market as well. But yeah, starting with the January thoughts, that's always my least favorite month to sell cattle. It feels like we usually advertise some packer kill cuts. They do some of their cooler clean outs or some maintenance. So we usually see those kind of seasonally kind of happen. So when that starts to be talked about by packers, it's not a surprise. I think that's, they like to really overplay that and stand up on a mountain and preach it. But I would expect some of that to come, some of that based on our tighter supply. And it's a way to back up cattle for them. And, we just get past our big rib demand season and some of that excellent shelf business that we get there. So would expect that we kind of lull just a little bit because we always feel like, hey, spring's coming. Let's get that spring demand kind of kicking in. And it's just too early yet. So would expect to see that little bit of a, pullback in January. We usually have some, rough basis kind of issues too. But luckily, futures are well underneath where the cash is at now.
Well, talk of cash, this last couple of weeks has been an amazing ride for our cattle producer. And last week was no different when you saw high cash move in post Christmas.
Yeah, high cash prices have been what's leading us here. It led us out of the gutter this last break that we had. And, even on Saturday, they were out looking for cattle. There was some 197 trading, some 197.50 to some regionals. And some guys were even able to pass that bid because we're current enough. And it just feels different. If you look back for years, producers have not had this kind of leverage in a long time. And we haven't. We've got all packers bidding. We're able to pass. We're able to take bids and choose where we're going. We've got people getting live bids that never get live bids in some of those remote areas. So it feels like we have the upper hand on the live cattle cash side. I fully think that we still have that leverage going into the next year. And then the cash feeders is the next thing. Both those cash markets are really on fire.
So do you see that fire continuing into the new year? At least on the nearby?
Yeah, I see a lot of confidence, in especially in this cash feeder market. I mean, these prices really, there was about a 5 or 6 week stretch that they just went straight up. I feel like we saw, maybe some heifers getting held back earlier in this fall. And then as we've just climbed real fast, it's getting tougher to think, are we going to be able to rebuild this cow herd or not? Just with the sheer cost that it is. I mean, it's a 2,000 pound or $2,000 heifer calf. And it's going to cost, my cowboy math says about $1,000 per year on that animal. So you're going to be 2 years into it before you have a calf ready to market. And you're going to have $4,000 in this animal plus interest on it. So $4,500, $4,600. That's a big pill to swallow. So I don't think we're set up to just rebuild real fast right here.
So how do you pencil that out? I mean, if there's somebody that says, I do need to retain a few of these heifers to keep my herd going, but man, I could ship them off to the sale barn and put some nice coin in my pocket.
Yeah, that's the other side. You feel like this is my year to capitalize and to cash in. And for a lot of our, older generation ranchers, it's absolutely that. We have such a labor shortage and challenges of our own and higher input costs. So it makes it a little bit easier just to load a few extra on the truck rather than say, I'm going to keep a few extras back. It's a lot easier to send them on along the way. So, and I think that's why we're at all-time highs, is because that's happened over the years. We haven't had enough of the dollars trickling all the way down to the cow-calf guys. So the market had to say, hey, this is why, we're at high prices, because we're unable to do it for this price. And the market's kind of fixing itself. So it's just very frustrating that we have that's the beef market that we have to raise less numbers to get the market to rally. That's really all that we have. And I know Brad's probably talked a lot about that, the leverage that the packer has with all the formula cattle. And I think this is your after effects of what's happening from all of that.
But wasn't there a glimmer of hope? I mean, I remember Brad and I talking in October that there was a little bit of a herd rebuild. So we thought maybe we were starting on the uptick.
I really thought that we were too. I mean, there was a little bit of a time frame where it was going to happen. And I think, that big 5 to 6 week rally really pulled it off. So, and then we have to note as well, it's starting to dry out in some cow-calf country, I guess in the north. We'll decide on the south how much rain that looks like. They had some little bit of a boost of moisture there this fall, but if we'd start to dry out, that could be the next thing that's going to curb it and pull it back in again.
So then I want to ask you about the dairy side of it. We know that dairy beef has kind of been the new chic word to use, but it might have got the dairy industry in a little bit of a hiccup as well.
That's been a nice token for the dairy industry that they were able to breed beef and become efficient that way, have a more efficient calf that's on the ground, something that's worth a little bit more, and to the tune of 6 million head if we're breeding about 90% of the herd to some of those beef animals. But what's happening now is I think they maximize that to the point to where here in the recent, what I'm hearing is that there has to be some of those cows are going to have to be bred back to dairy because there's that shortage of dairy heifers. They're like, where are they? So I think in the short term here, there's a little bit of, going back to dairy. So that could be adding to this fire that there's a few less beef calves hitting the ground it can shift back pretty easy. The dairy industry knows how to shift, and they know how to become efficient. So I feel like we'll be watching those shifts, but as of now, that's going to add to the fire here of tighter numbers.
What about the deferreds? What are your thoughts on those contract highs?
Yeah, I love seeing some contract highs happening in the deferreds, and it's given guys, prices to look at that they're interested in. But the way I always look at it, when the deferred contracts are making contract highs, I usually kind of think the fronts can too. We've already kind of got that in our head that it can happen, or vice versa. If the fronts want to lead the charge and make some contract highs, I think the deferreds can as well. So it's a great way to finish the year. Let's get this thing, this calendar turned and see if we can't do it on the fronts now.
Well, as we get ready to wrap up this week's episode, what are your thoughts on demand as we move forward from a consumer's perspective and the supply that's there?
From the consumer side, the demand has been so rock solid. It's something that we've just been able to rely on all the way back to when we went through COVID. It still stayed on. We've got a consumer that wants a high quality product, and that's what they're telling us. We've got this shorter supply, so we're importing, about 2 to 1, importing over exporting, but usually importing those kind of grinding meats. But as long as the economy holds together, I don't see any worries or any hiccups there. It felt like when we were looking at some financial crisis, maybe consumers are tapped, maybe this is too high, looking at some retail prices that are right in line with year-ago levels. So I'm not in agreeing with saying, these consumers are looking at these high prices and backing off. We've been able to sustain this for quite some time. I like what I'm seeing going ahead there.
Well, Scott, I appreciate you joining us this week. What's the best way for folks to get a hold of you guys?
Yeah, give us a call or check out our website, kkvtrading.com. There's a lot of information on there, so check that out.
All right. Thanks for filling in for Brad this week. Happy New Year, Scott.
Yeah, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, of course, to all our listeners as well. This week's Cattle Call is being brought to you by Wolf Auto, small town strong. And a quick reminder, commodity futures and options do involve a substantial risk of loss, not suitable to all investors. And that's another edition of the Cattle Call on the Rural Radio Network.
Are new windows from Renewal by Andersen a great investment? You're darn right they are. Did you know that for less than your cable bill or cell phone bill each month, you could have new windows from Renewal by Andersen right now? Do the math. Renewal by Andersen windows will likely cut your energy bills significantly. They will likely substantially increase the value of your home. They're a great investment. Please contact our team now and ask about our fantastic financing options with approved credit right now. Renewal by Andersen, a great investment? You're darn right.
The community calendar is brought to you by Riverstone Bank. We're local and we love our community.
You deserve to have a building that will last for generations. With more than 110 years of experience and thousands of satisfied customers, Morton Buildings is the industry leader you can trust. If you're planning for a garage, farm shop, horse barn, storage building for your RV, boat, or collectibles, there's no better time to buy. Contact your local Morton sales office or visit mortonbuildings.com to get started today.
Tired of feeling stuck? Not sure if you are on the right track? Platte Valley Bank can help keep your finances moving forward with checking account options to fit your lifestyle and an online account chooser to make finding the right account easy. Control your financial future with helpful budgeting tools and automatic savings plans. Now is the time to enjoy the ride with Platte Valley Bank. You belong here.
And finally tonight, Nebraska Governor Jim Pillen announced his appointment of former Scottsbluff attorney Katie Thurber as the interim commissioner for the Nebraska Department of Labor. Thurber's interim appointment begins immediately, filling the vacancy created by the retirement of Commissioner John Albin, who left earlier last month. Thurber joined NDUL in 2012 as an administrative hearing officer and was soon named legal counsel. She has been general counsel since 2017 and in 2023 became deputy commissioner of operations. Prior to joining the agency, Thurber was an attorney with Simmons Olson Law Firm here in Scottsbluff. Well, that does it for us this time. Thank you so much for tuning in. Have a great weekend. We'll see you back here on Monday.